press conference. Today we are very happy to have with us Vice Minister Guo Tingting from the Ministry of Commerce to brief us on the commerce work and its development in 2022, and she will also take questions from the media. We also have Mr. Yang Tao, Director of the Department of Comprehensive Affairs, Mr. Xu Xingfeng, Director General of the Consumption Promotion Department, Mr. Li Xingtian, Department of Foreign Trade, and Deputy Director General Meng Huating from the Department of Foreign Investment Administration. Now I'd like to invite Vice Minister Guo to give her briefing. Good afternoon, friends of the media. Welcome to the press conference. As we have just celebrated the Spring Festival, I would like to extend Chinese New Year's greetings to you all and express my heartfelt thanks to you all for your interest in and support for our work. Now I will brief you on the development of commerce in 2022. In 2022, under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, the Ministry of Commerce, MOFCOM, firmly implemented the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and State Council, took active steps to address factors beyond expectation, responded to COVID-19 and promote commerce development in a well-coordinated way, and earnestly implemented a policy package for stabilizing the economy and follow-up measures. The overall development of commerce has made steady progress and contributed to China's economic development and social stability. Consumer markets remain generally stable. The total retail sales of consumer goods in 2022 reached 44 trillion yuan, on a par with that of 2021. In breakdown, new types of consumption enjoy sound momentum. The online retail sales of physical goods increased by 6.2%, raising their share in the total retail sales of consumer goods to 27.2%. Physical retail business continued to grow. Retail sales of physical retail stores above the designated size grew by 1%, with diversified and upgraded consumption scenarios experienced. The demand for consumption upgrading was unleashed at a faster pace. The sales of new energy vehicles increased by 93.4%. Foreign trade performance was better than expected. Last year, foreign trade was hit hard by a number of factors. We worked together with relevant departments and localities to cushion the impact of multiple factors on foreign trade. As a result, China's foreign trade hit a record high. Import and export of goods exceeded 40 trillion yuan and reached 42.1 trillion yuan, up 7.7%. In particular, import and export with major trading partners continue to grow, including an increase of 15%, 5.6%, and 3.7% in trade with ASEAN, the EU, and the US. Trade mix continued to improve. Import and export by the private sector grew by 12.9% and rose to 50.9% as a share of the total. Export of labor-intensive and mechanical and electrical products grew by 8.9% and 7%. New energy vehicles exports grew rapidly, forging a new competitive edge. Trade in services grew steadily. Service import and export reached 5.98 trillion yuan, up 12.9%. In particular, import and export of travel and knowledge-intensive services rose by 8.4% and 7.8%. Utilization of foreign investment continued to grow. Paid-in foreign direct investment (FDI) in 2022 totaled 1.2 trillion yuan, up 6.3% on a comparable basis. This figure reaffirms that China remains a popular destination for foreign investment. The quality of FDI to China continued to improve. FDI in the manufacturing sector increased by 46.1% and represented 26.3% of all FDI, 7.8 percentage points higher than 2021. FDI in the high-tech yuan of FDI accounting for 18.1% of the total. 230 national economic and technological development zones received 259 billion yuan of FDI, accounting for 21% of the total. Outbound investment developed steadily. China's non-financial outbound direct investment totaled 785.94 billion yuan in 2022, up 7.2%. In particular, investments in the Belt and Road partner countries grew by 7.7%, representing 17.9% of the total. In terms of industries, ODI in the manufacturing sector grew by 22%, accounting for 18% of the total. ODI in wholesale and retail and construction industries grew by 24% and 19% investments in green and digital areas became new drivers of growth. Chinese projects contractors developed their overseas business steadily, posting an operating income of 1 trillion yuan, up 4.3%. The number of newly signed contracts was over 50 million yuan, increased by 59 from that of 2029. Multilateral and bilateral cooperation made a new breakthrough. Heads of diplomacy have given a strong boost to trade and economic relations. Last year, we pushed for positive trade and economic outcomes from the G20 and APEC and delivered successful trade ministers' meetings of the BRICS and CO respectively. We contributed to the conclusion of a package of agreements at MC12 of WTO and led the negotiations on investment facilitation to a substantive conclusion. We formally launched the negotiations on China's accession to DEPA and completed the joint feasibility study and launched the negotiations of the 3.0 version of the China-ASEAN FTA. We pushed for the entry into force of the RCEP on schedule and promoted its high-quality development. In 2022, China's total trade with other RCEP members accounted for more than 30% of its total foreign trade. The year 2023 marks the beginning of the full implementation of the guiding principles laid out at the 20th CPC National Congress. Following the guidance of Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, MOFCOM will fully implement the guiding principles of the 20th CPC National Congress and resolutely follow through on the arrangements of the recent Central Economic Conference and as required by the State Council executive meetings based on the important role of the commerce development in three aspects. MOFCOM will focus on consumption recovery and growth, maintain the current scale of foreign trade while improving its structure. We will redouble our efforts to attract and utilize foreign investment, promote high-level opening up, boost market confidence, and work for high-quality development of commerce. Now the floor is open. I'd like to take your questions. Thank you, Vice Minister Guo, for your briefing. Please identify yourself before taking questions. Now the floor is open. The gentleman on the second row.
Thank you. 2022, China's foreign trade surpassed 40 trillion yuan. What are the highlights in 2022? And considering the possibility of shrinking external demand, what measures will be taken to stabilize foreign trade? Thank you. That's a very good question on foreign trade. Mr. Li Xingqian. Thank you for your question. 2022 was an extremely difficult year for China's foreign trade. Under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, China's commerce authorities worked closely with subnational governments and other authorities, and the foreign trade companies overcame great difficulties. China's foreign trade performance was better than expected despite the risks and challenges, and the goal of stability and quality in foreign trade was fulfilled. In general, there are three highlights to foreign trade performance in 2022. New heights were achieved, new drivers were unleashed, and new contributions were made. In 2022, China's import and export hit a record high, reaching 42 trillion yuan, surpassing 40 trillion yuan for the first time. In dollar terms, it reached $6.3 trillion, building on a high base from 2021. China has been the world's largest trader in goods for 6 years in a row. In addition to increased volume of foreign trade, the foreign trade structure continued to improve. The share of private sector continued to grow, up by 3.2% to reach 60.6%. Bilateral and multilateral trade cooperation also moved forward. Our export to RCEP trading members grew by 17.5%, 7 percentage points higher than the average. Our import and export with Belt and Road partner countries grew to 32.9%, 3.2 percentage points higher than the last year. Last year, new energy vehicles, solar products, and lithium batteries among the high-tech and high value-added and green products became new drivers of export growth. In 2022, NEV exports grew by 131.8%. Solar products grew by 67.8%. Lithium batteries grew by 86.7%. Cross-border e-commerce, market procurement, and other new types of foreign trade flourished, registering over 3 trillion yuan of import and export, accounting for 7% of foreign trade. In terms of new contributions, at home, foreign trade made important contributions to the economic recovery. The net export of goods and services contributed 17.1% to GDP growth, driving GDP growth by 0.5 percentage points. Companies with actual import and export reached 598,000, 31,000 more than 2021, and they supported many jobs. Internationally, against a volatile environment for trade, China took effective measures to stabilize production and exports and ensure the normal functioning of global industrial chains and supply chains. We also actively increased imports. Total imports reached $2.69 trillion, making important contributions to global trade. At present, amid rising recession risks of the global economy and slowdown external demand, the rapid reshaping of international supply chains, the foreign trade development in China faces a severe environment. In 2023, we will redouble efforts to improve the scale and structure of foreign trade, and ensure that exports continue to support the economy. We will respect and energize the creativity of trade players as a top priority. At the beginning of this year, we revised China's law on foreign trade and lifted the filing and the registration requirement for the foreign trade operators, which empowered all market players, the foreign trade operating rights. This is an important reform measures in foreign trade administration. To promote high standard of opening up, we must make it easier, more convenient, and more beneficial for importers and exporters in China. In the coming year, we must provide sound service to the foreign trade companies, launch and improve new foreign trade policies to help business lower cost, resolve difficulties, and sharpen the comprehensive competitiveness in foreign trade. In particular, we'll implement four measures. First, we'll strengthen trade promotion. We will match the suppliers with buyers to stabilize exports. We will resume in-person exhibitions such as the Canton Fair, and we will support the participation of foreign trade companies in overseas professional exhibitions to create more opportunities for trade. Second, we will enlarge imports as appropriate. We will build closer ties with our trading partners, leverage China's strength as a massive market, and increase the import of quality products from around the world to stabilize global supply chain. Third, we'll deepen trade innovation to promote the healthy development of cross-border e-commerce, overseas warehousing, and other new types of trade. Fourth, we'll solidify the industrial foundation for foreign trade. We'll continue to improve the structure of foreign trade. While we strengthen general trade, we'll also support the relocation of processing trade to Central and Western China and Northeastern China to realize upgraded development. Thank you for your question. From Phoenix TV.
From Phoenix TV, we know that in the past year, the Chinese leadership has introduced a package of policies to boost consumption. Would you like to share with us the specific work taken by MOFCOM with some highlights? Thank you. In the past year, as you have said, the CPC Central Committee and the State Council have introduced a host of policies and follow-up measures to boost consumption. Consumption is an important part of our broader efforts. The MOFCOM is committed to the decisions made by the Chinese leadership. We have given details to the central national policies on the front of consumption promotion. As mentioned by Vice Minister, consumption has remained stable in general. We have focused our efforts in the following 5 areas. First, we have boosted consumption on big items. By saying big items, we refer to cars, furniture, household appliances, and catering, for example. These 4 items account for a quarter of our total consumption. So vehicle or car is the primary big item for boosting consumption. So we have been working together with other departments in formulating policies. You may remember that we once held a press conference here to brief you about such policies. So we have introduced 12 policies covering 6 respects in boosting car consumption. So at the end of last year, the car consumption increased by 10.7% at the end of last year from 6.6% negative growth in the first half of last year. So at the same time, the share of new energy vehicles has increased from about 12% in 2021 to a quarter in 2022. At the same time, we also encourage the consumption on green and smart household appliances, green construction materials, as well as policies to encourage the catering industry. At the same time, we are also encouraging new types of consumption like ice consumption and green consumption, both online and on-site, in order to create more scenarios for consumption. The physical goods online sale increased by 6.2%, accounting for 27.2% of our total retails, up 2.7 percentage points. In particular, live broadcasting has become very popular. The sessions, the audience, as well as the number of commodities and active live broadcasting anchors have multiplied in the passing year. And the third, we have also upgraded our consumption platforms. In urban areas, we are building international consumption center urban centers. We held the first International Consumption Center Urban Forum, and we introduced 14 typical experiences covering 4 aspects. At the same time, we also promoted the supporting role of the a quarter minute living circle in the urban areas. At the same time, we have also launched the 3-year initiative to boost county commerce, so that the share of county commerce increased steadily in the passing year. And the fourth, we have also held a number of events to encourage consumption. While responding to COVID-19, we have held a number of major events like the CRIE, the International Consumer Products Expo, as well as the CIFTIS, to increase the supply of premium consumer goods. At the same time, we also have International Consumption Quarter, National Consumption Promotion Month, shopping festival for the Spring New Year, as well as high quality and time-honored products shopping festival, and the consumption quarterly for household appliances, and the China Cuisine Festival, for example, in light of different conditions, national conditions and local conditions. Fifth, we have also safeguarded the basic consumption for people's livelihood. You know that from the beginning of last year, COVID-19 COVID-19 hit different places in Jilin, Xi'an, Shanghai, Hainan, Tibet, Xinjiang, different parts of China. So we firmly implemented the decisions of the Chinese leadership, putting the people at the center, and established a coordinating and a cross-regional mechanism to supply goods from different places for the place hit by COVID-19. And we have released more than 140,000 tons of meat in 10 batches in response to the urgent needs in the market, which has stabilized the market and the consumer demand. The Spring Festival was just over, and the consumption recovery is even better than our expectation. According to our survey, for key retail businesses and catering businesses enjoyed a growth of 6.8%. In the coming year, we are firmly implementing the decisions made by the Chinese leadership, and will continue to encourage and expand consumption. Thank you. Next question. The lady on the third row, please. Thank you.
Thank you. From China Media Group. FTZs are the pacesetters of reform and opening up. How about their development highlights in 2022? In 2023, how will MOFCOM promote their development? Thank you. Thank you for your question. I will take this question. The development of FTZ is an important strategic move by the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core to promote reform and opening up in the new era. In 2022, the FTZs took firm steps and made bold explorations and made new steps in a various areas. First, promote high-level opening up. The FTZs have introduced a series of measures on opening up for investment and trade, and leveraged the leading role of opening up, made contribution to development of foreign trade and investment. Starting from January 1st, 2022, the new negative list for pilot FTZs was published, and there will be no manufacturing entries, with continued opening up for service sector. In 2022, the 21 FTZs had a paid-in FDI of RMB 222.52 billion RMB, accounting for 18.1% of the national total. In breakdown, the paid-in investment of high-tech sectors was 86.434 billion RMB, grew by 53.2% year-on-year. The localities are also introducing innovative measures. For example, Guangxi, Yunnan, and Heilongjiang are promoting trading between border residents. Shanxi is innovating the customs declaration first, packaging later model for cross-border e-commerce, shortening the time of customs clearance by 2 to 3 days. In 2022, the 21 FTZs had a total import and export of 7.5 trillion RMB, increased by 14.5% year-on-year, accounting for 17.8% of the national total. Second, deepening reform and innovation. The FTZs are promoting the improved administration abilities with institutional innovation, constantly improving business environment. In 2022, MOFCOM and the relevant departments have introduced 56 documents supporting the development of FTZs and offering them more reform tasks for pioneering and bold trials. By the end of 2022, the municipalities, provinces, and autonomous regions have delegated over 5,400 provincial-level administrative powers to FTZs, greatly reducing their level of approval. Shandong and Guangxi are also administrating in this area in the form of negative list. Third, promoting high-quality development. The FTZs are actively exploring removing the institutional and system barriers, preventing the gathering of innovative resources and factors at home and abroad, promoting accelerated development of new industries, business models, and types of businesses. We have formed a series of industrial clusters with strong competitiveness. For example, the Xiyong section in Chongqing has formed the smart terminal sector with an annual production capacity of over 100 million pieces, while Hubei, Wuhan are developing photo-electronic industry, gathering more than 16,000 enterprises. Fourth, serving the major national strategies. The FTZs are focusing on their sense of responsibilities, promoting intra-regional innovation, and implementing national strategies. In 2022, Shandong, Henan, Sichuan, Shanxi, and other 5 provinces and autonomous regions along the Yellow River are building the alliance of FTZs in the Yellow River Basin, along with the previously established other mechanisms, such as the Interdepartmental Joint Meeting Mechanism for Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei FTZs, and the alliance of FTZs in the Yangtze River Delta. They are fully playing a leading role as a powerhouse for reform and opening up and creating new momentum for major national strategies. The 20th CPC National Congress introduced the strategies to upgrade FTZs. In 2023, according to the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, we are going to serve the functions of the Office of Interministerial Joint Meeting for FTZ under the State Council. First, we're going to benchmark against high-level international trade rules and to increase pressure test in FTZs and free trade port, and steadily expand institutional opening up in rules, regulation, administration, and standard to accumulate experience and explore paths for relevant reform in relevant domestic sectors. Second, we are going to support FTZs in conducting differentiated exploration and promote open and innovative development across the whole industrial chain in priority areas such as IC, biopharmaceuticals, and high equipment manufacturing. We are also going to replicate more and better institutional innovation outcomes across the country. Thank you.
Question from Reuters. Following last month's announcement that 4 Chinese coal importers had been granted permission to resume imports of Australian coal, does China plan to lift restrictions on a broader range of Australian exports, such as cotton, rock lobster, wine and barley soon? And if not, then why not? Could you also confirm whether the Chinese and Australian Ministers of Commerce will meet next week? Thank you.
继上个月，路透社记者继上个月宣布4家中国煤炭进口商获得恢复进口澳大利亚煤炭的许可后，中国是否计划很快取消对澳大利亚更广泛出口产品，如棉花、盐龙虾、葡萄酒和大麦的限制？如果没有，原因是什么？您能确认中国与澳大利亚的商务部部长是否会下周举行会谈？谢谢。 Thank you. It is a question that has got close attention of the media. Thank you for your question. You know that the business communities are the main players in the trade between our 2 countries. So in light of their own needs and market conditions, they make their own business decisions. So the SPS and the trade remedy measures adopted by China are fully conform with Chinese laws, regulations, and the WTO rules. So it is inappropriate to misinterpret them as restrictive measures. Recently, Chinese and Australian leaders met in the Bali Island, charting the course for improvement of the bilateral relations. We would like to work together with our Australian colleagues to implement the consensus reached by our leaders, follow the principle of mutual respect and win-win for outcomes to promote the healthy development of relations. As agreed, Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao and Australian Minister for Trade Mr. Farrell will have a virtual meeting next week, and they will discuss our economic and trade relations and other issues of common interest. Thank you. The lady on the third row, please.
谢谢主持人。森沙卫视记者提问：那春节过后的疫情3年过后的首个春节也是火了海南，请问商务部在支持海南自由贸易港建设方面，过去1年中做了哪些工作？
Thank you. Hainan has been a popular tourist destination during the Chinese New Year. What measures will be taken to support the development of Hainan FTP?
好的，这个谢谢你的提问啊。
Thank you for your question.
大家呢都非常关心啊，
People are watching closely the development of the Hainan FTP.
海南自由贸易港建设
The
的具
master
体方案
plan for the
已经发
Hainan
布2年
FTP
多了。
was published
在
2
这个过
years
程中
ago.
呢，海南自由贸易港建设呢，
The
进展得
development
顺利，
has been
整
smooth
体推进呢可以说
with
是
steady and robust progress. In 2022, MOFCOM focused on trade and investment facilitation and liberalization as our top priority, and we focused on the independent operation of the island in supporting the Hainan FTP's development. First, we worked with related authorities to publish the policy measures to support the Yangbu Economic Development Zone and issued documents on promoting high-quality development of external culture to implement these measures. Second, we worked with the Hainan province to hold the second Hainan Expo for consumption, and the exhibitors, the brands, the professional buyers, and the visitors grew by a large margin. Third, we published the Hainan FTP Trade and Investment Development Report, which showcased our progress in trade and investment liberalization facilitation under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council. MOFCOM and the relevant authorities in Hainan Province have pushed for positive progress in the Hainan FTP's trade and investment. Heading FDI to Hainan reached 24.44 billion yuan, up by 7.1%. Total import and export surpassed 200 billion yuan, up by 36.8% year-on-year. The open economy showed a strong momentum during the Chinese New Year this year. The consumption market was very dynamic, and the cultural tourism and catering services were very popular, which are proof of the vitality of the Hainan Free Trade Ports. Going forward, MOFCOM will implement the decisions of the report of the 20th CPC National Congress to accelerate the development of the Hainan FTP under the guidance of the comprehensive leading group. We will make preparations for the stress test and the independent operation, work on the relevant policies, and study on the list of goods that are prohibited and restricted in the Hainan FTP, prepare for the third Hainan Expo, and score new progress in the development of the Hainan FTP. Thank you for your question.
这边第二排这位男记者。
谢谢主持人。中广记者提问，请问商务部今年在促消费工作方面有何打算和考虑？另外，这个汽车是消费的顶梁。
From China.com.cn. So, what measures will be adopted by MOFCOM to boost the consumption? Automobile is a major consumption pillar. So, many local governments have introduced their own policies. So, what specific measures will be taken MOFCOM in boosting automobile consumption? Thank you. Thank you very much for your question, and thank you very much for your interest in consumption issues. The 20th CPC National Congress stressed the increasing role of consumption in boosting economic development. The Central Economic Work Conference also stressed the need to restore and further expand consumption as a priority issue. So you can see that the Chinese leadership has always paid close attention to the issue of consumption. We will fully implement the decisions made by the Chinese leadership and continue the sound momentum demonstrated in the Spring Festival, as grew by 6.8%. So we will continue to work in the first quarter with an eye for the whole year. First, we will step up policy guidance to boost consumption confidence. We will supervise the implementation of existing policies. At the same time, in light of the new dynamics this year, we will focus on such priority fields like automobile and household appliances and furniture, with a number of new policies and measures. Second, we will make major events successful. This year is a year of boosting consumption confidence. So we will organize a number of events. In the press conference on January 19th, we have already briefed you about a series of promotional events for consumption. consumption, so that different places would work together to boost consumption. And the trade associations and different organizations will also have their roles to play. And the third, we will continue to improve our platforms. For example, in urban and in rural areas. In urban areas, we will further build our cities into international centers for consumption to expand the circles of smart and intelligent consumption with more such stores, and a quarter-minute living circle will be a priority in this context, so that we will provide more and better products through more channels. So when it comes to automobile consumption, I want to say that it is one of the 4 major big items for consumption, which played a very important role. For many years, it accounted for about 10% of China's total retails. If you include the petroleum and the diesel gas consumed by automobiles, it will account for 15% of our total retail consumption. In 2022, China's new car sales totaled 26.86 million. A year-on-year increase of 2.1%, number 1 for 14 years consecutively in the world. And our new energy vehicles sales increased almost doubled, with a market penetration rate to exceeding 25% and hitting the national targets 3 years in advance. In 2020, we issued a national plan for the new energy vehicle, proposing that by 2025, the new energy vehicles consumption sales should account for 20%. But now we already reached 25% last year, 3 years in advance. So we will continue our policies to support and encourage automobile consumption. And we have briefed you about the latest policies we have introduced along with other relevant authorities. An important policy is that in August 1st, starting from August 1st last year, and we removed restrictions on the migration of second-hand vehicles, so long as they meet national 5 standards. And the second policy was that in October 1st, we allowed the reverse invoicing allowed by the businesses for second-hand automobiles. And starting from January 1st this year, we also introduced a new model, a business distribution model to replace the traditional agent model for second-hand vehicle transaction, so that our second-hand vehicle sales increased by 1.8 times. In the next step, we will continue to work together with other departments, focus on the whole chain of the second-hand sales with priorities in the following 4 areas. First, we will have stable growth in the new automobile consumptions. So we should shift our focus from sales to utilization. Some Chinese cities still have some restrictions on private car ownership, and we will continue to help them improve their policies. Second, we will support the sales of new energy vehicles. As I have mentioned, we have seen encouraging growth of new energy vehicles, which will help China reach the 30-60 objectives. And we will introduce follow-up policies for the consumption of new energy vehicles, so that you will feel you will not have distance anxiety energy, and you will have a smooth experience in driving your new energy vehicles. And the third policy is to continue to encourage the distribution of second-hand vehicles. We are going to establish an information inquiry platform which is national for second-hand vehicles. We also revised our regulations on the distribution of second-hand vehicles. Our goal is that the consumers will buy second-hand vehicles as confident as they buy brand new vehicles. So that is our policy objective. We will focus on these objectives and follow through with them. So we know that there are more than 300 million second-hand vehicles in the China automobile market. So we will encourage tiered consumption for automobiles. Last but not least, we will have a smooth process for the retirement and renewal of automobiles. So we will revise our regulations on this front, improve the recycling and the reutilization system for retired automobiles so that we will have good circular consumption of automobiles. All in all, with such policies, we hope that we will continue to improve our consumption environment, improve our regulations so that consumption of automobile will continue to contribute to our overall consumption. Thank you.
最旁边那列吧，第三排那位记者。
谢谢主持人，中新社记者提问。2022年，中国实际使用外资额同比增长
In 2022, paid-in FDI to China grew by 6.3%, hitting a record high. How do you evaluate China's FDI performance in last year, and how do you view the trend this year? Ms. Mo Huating, thank you for your interest in foreign investment. In 2022, we faced many difficulties posed by COVID-19, sluggish global economic growth, and rising investment protectionism. MOFCOM was determined to implement the decisions and plans of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council and worked with related localities and authorities to advance the work on FDI and improve the scale, structure, and quality of FDI, making important contributions to the macroeconomy. There are 5 attributes to the FDI attraction in 2022. First, FDI scale hit a record high, building on the double-digit growth in 2021. In 2022, FDI in China continued steady growth. Paid-in FDI surpassed 1.2 trillion yuan, up by 6.3% on a comparable basis. In dollar terms, it reached $189.13 billion, up by 8%, ranking among the top around the world. Second, FDI in the manufacturing sector grew significantly. Paid-in FDI to the manufacturing sector reached 323.7 billion yuan, up by 46.1% year-on-year. Following the lift of access restrictions, FDI in automaking surged by 263.8%. In addition, FDI in computer communications and pharmaceutical manufacturing grew by 67.3% and 57.9%. Third, high-tech industry became an important area for FDI. Paid-in FDI to the high-tech industries grew by 28.3%, and driving greater quality in the FDI. High-tech manufacturing, high-tech services, FDI grew by 49.6% and 21.9%. In addition to the computer communications and pharmaceutical manufacturing, the research commercialization services, R&D, and design services also received FDI, rapidly growing by 35% and 26.4% respectively. Fourth, FDI from the major sources continued to grow. FDI from the ROK, Germany, the UK, and Japan grew by 64.2%, 52.9%, 40.7%, and 16.1%. By region, the EU, Belt and Road partner countries, and ASEAN's FDI to China grew by 92.2%, 17.2%, and 8.2%. Fifth, FDI to the Central, Eastern, and Western China continue to grow. Paid-in FDI to the Eastern, Central, and Western China grew by 4.7%, 21.9%, and 14.1%. Among the eastern provinces, Jiangsu Province received nearly 200 billion yuan of FDI. Guangdong, Shanghai, Shandong, Zhejiang, Beijing received over 100 billion yuan. Among the central and western provinces, Shanxi, Henan, Guangxi, Hunan, Shanxi FDI grew by 229.6%, 119.8%, 49.1%, 41.3%, and 33.6%, and their potential was further unlocked. Currently, China's FDI attraction continues to face a severe situation posed by sluggish global economic growth and other unfavorable conditions. UNCTAD report last month pointed to tremendous downward pressure on global cross-border investment in 2023. We expect the competition to be sharper, and we should see that the fundamentals of the China's economy remain sound and stable in the long term. The enormous market, full-fledged industrial systems, a rich pool of talent, and consistently improving business environments constitute our comprehensive strength in attracting FDI, and foreign investors' interest in China remains strong. We have full confidence with the work on FDI in 2023, and will work to increase the quality and quantity of FDI to contribute to the new development paradigm and high-quality development. Thank you.
好，这边第5排这位外国记者，对，彭博。
Bloomberg, please.
At the end of December, MOFCOM announced a request for comments on looking to restrict the export of manufacturing technology for solar cells, amongst other things. Can you provide more details about this effort? And can you also explain how this is different from the US looking to restrict exports of technology to manufacture semiconductors? Thank you.
请翻译一下。
中国商务部在去年12年底的时候，就限制太阳能电池生产设备的出口征求公众意见。请问您能否提供更多的意见？这是否是停止技术产品出口的更广泛努力的开始？另外，您能不能对最近相关的这个芯片的问题做一些评论？谢谢。
这个问题请杨涛司长做个回答。
首先呢，谢谢你的提问。
Thank you for your questions.
提的这个对太阳能电池生产这个出口的限制这个问题。
You asked me about about the restrictions on the equipment for manufacturing solar cells. I think you may have some misunderstanding on this policy. Recently, Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Science and Technology began to revise the catalog on restrictions of technologies according to China's foreign trade law and related regulations. We will seek public opinions on this issue, and we will take stock of the opinions we have received, and we will look into these issues with other departments. In the next step, we will continue the policy of open cooperation and improve our policy environment for more exchanges and cooperation. Thank you.
谢谢主持人，我是红星新闻记者。我的问题是 RCEP 生效1周年来
From Red Star News, my question is that after RCEP took effect for 1 year, it has delivered benefits and attracted the attention of all. What are the achievements so far? Can you elaborate on that? Thank you. I will take this question. RCEP took effect on January the 1st, 2022. MOFCOM resolutely implemented the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council and worked with the relevant departments to implement the rules and the market accession commitments with high quality. We have introduced the guiding principles on implementing RCEP with high quality at the first instance, and guide and support localities, industries, and businesses to grasp opportunities, expand business cooperation with RCEP members with effective results. First, we have offered strong support for the development of trade and investment. In terms of trade, in 2022, China's total import and export with other RCEP members totaled 12.95 trillion RMB, up 7.5% year-on-year. Just now, we have also mentioned that it accounts for 30.8% of China's total foreign trade. The growth with 8 other RCEP members exceeded double-digit. Also, our non-financial direct investment with other RCEP members totaled $17.96 billion, up 18.9%, and attracted the FDI of $22.53 billion, up 23.1%, both higher than the general level. Second, the effect of the localities to use the agreement is showing their initial impact. MOFCOM has comprehensively guided and supported the localities to make good use of these policies, and we have conducted 10 special trainings across the country and trained more than 400,000 people. We have upgraded the public platform for FTZ and help the localities and enterprises to make good use of the tariff reduction policies, make good use of the cumulative rules of origin, and grasp the opportunities presented by service investment liberalization and facilitation. We have deepened cooperation with other RCEP members in industrial and supply chain. Some localities also promoted RCEP obligations as incentives to build demonstration zones for high-level opening up and cooperation in RCEP, attracted the gathering of industries, funding, and talents, and significantly improved their investment and trade environment. Third, the businesses have enjoyed the benefits from the agreement. RCEP, coupled with other FTA China was signed with other RCEP members, created a good condition for the companies to enjoy their benefits. In 2022, China's exporting companies applied for 673,000 certificates and statements of origin under RCEP, with the value-added exports enjoying benefits under RCEP totaled 235.3 billion RMB. They are expected to enjoy tariff concession from importing countries of 1.5 billion RMB, and for the value of imports enjoying benefits, their value was 65.3 billion RMB and enjoying tariff reduction of 1.55 billion RMB. Fourth, the members are also jointly improving the effect of implementation. China has used the RCEP Ministerial Conference and Joint Committee to promote more members to approve the agreement. The RK in Malaysia and Indonesia has already proved and start to implement the agreement. In addition, we are keeping in close touch with other members to help them and to promote their joint honoring of the tariff reduction commitment, improve the level of facilitation, improve regional business environment, and the level of implementation for the agreement. In the next step, we will continue to implement RCEP with high quality, continue to unleash the benefits from the agreement, and leverage the role of RCEP in keeping foreign trade investment stable, promote cooperation along industrial and the supply chain, and promote high quality development. In addition, we will work with all RCEP members to promote the full entry into effect of the agreement for all the signatories, enhance institutional development for RCEP, and offer strong support for the steady progress of RCEP. Thank you. Thank you. At the current stage, what are the favorable conditions for attracting for FDI, and what measures will be taken to stabilize the stock inflow and quality of FDI? Thank you for your question. In 2022, with the efforts of all parties, FDI attraction made significant progress, laying a sound foundation for the work in 2023. There are many favorable conditions to FDI attraction to China, and there are mainly 4 aspects. First, the bright economic outlook of the Chinese economy with strong resilience, potential, and vitality. The fundamentals of the Chinese economy remain sound in the longer term. At the 20th National Congress, the CPC made strategic arrangements for the economic development in the coming years. The Central Economic Work Conference also set forth clear requirements on pushing for economic recovery in 2023. The subnational governments are working to launch measures to realize the goal of stabilizing growth, employment, and consumer prices. Recently, several international organizations have revised upwards their forecast for Chinese economy this year. Economic growth means investment opportunities.
Some agencies' surveys show that the majority of FIEs are confident in China's economic outlook this year. Investors' confidence is the biggest source of confidence, our confidence with FDI work this year. Second, China remains attractive to FDI. According to MOFCOM statistics, over 90% of FIEs are oriented towards the Chinese market. With 1.4 billion population and the world's second largest consumer market, new types and new models of consumption continue to emerge in China and continues to unleash the market potential. The Central Economic Work Conference requires us to give top priority to resuming and expanding consumption this year. The enlarged market size will generate greater motivation for foreign investments in China. Third, the combined effect of policies continue to be felt. Last year, MOFCOM and other departments published the new catalogue of encouraged industries for foreign investment and launched special policies to encourage FDI in the manufacturing sector and FDI and for invested R&D centers. We'll also introduce new policies in line with the central requirements. The existing and new policies combined will generate greater benefits to FIEs. Fourth, the cross-border traveling will be easier. In the past 3 years, the biggest problem for FIEs were obstacles to the movement of people and the goods caused by COVID-19. Now, as we enter into a new stage of COVID-19 control, the cross-border travel continues to gradually returns to normal. Recently, many subnational governments have sent business delegations abroad, and we believe more foreign invested projects will land in China this year. These are the favorable conditions for FDI attraction. And I would like to say a few words on the specific measures for FDI attraction. The 20th National Congress of the CPC and the Central Economic Work Conference made important plans for high standard opening up and the attraction and utilization of FDI. And we will take firm measures to implement these decisions. In terms of increasing inflow, we will shorten the negative list for foreign investment access as appropriate and further open up the modern service sector. We'll support the subnational governments to use trade fairs and exhibitions and investment promotion mechanisms as opportunities to attract FDI and secure more landmark foreign invested projects. In terms of stabilizing FDI stock, we'll continue to leverage the role of the task force on foreign invested projects, strengthen regular communications with FIEs and foreign chambers of commerce and business associations to help them resolve the difficulties and implement the national treatment for FIEs. We'll also improve the interdepartmental coordination mechanism to address the complaints from FIEs to protect their legitimate rights and ensure they can prosper. In China, in terms of improving FDI quality, we will work on the policy promotion and interpretation and direct the subnational governments and authorities to introduce specific measures and direct more FDI into the advanced manufacturing, modern services, energy conservation, technology innovation, and Central and Western China. Thank you. We only have time for two more questions.
谢谢主持人。天目新闻记者提问：刚才提到走出去啊，因为去年的下半年以来，我国有很多的地方这个外贸企业组织出海去抓订单。
Since the second half of last year, China has sent many business delegations abroad to secure more orders. What measures will MOFCOM take for trade promotion, and what measures will be taken to support and guide foreign trade companies? Thank you for your question. In Q4 of last year, MOFCOM and other 5 government departments rolled out policy measures to facilitate foreign trade companies as they secure orders, and the subnational governments responded actively to support business delegations in going abroad, visiting the exhibitions and their clients to seek business opportunities. Foreign trade community has become alive again. In the area of foreign trade, thousands of emails do not compare with one face-to-face meeting. The foreign trade companies are very keen to bring their samples and their designs abroad and bring back more orders from their clients. In 2023, the global economic situation remains severe and faces greater downward pressure. The main problem in China's foreign trade has shifted away from the supply chain disruptions and inadequate delivery capacity to shrinking external demand and the number of orders. This is an important shift. MOFCOM has made it clear that it will give top priority to trade promotion and business matchmaking. We will focus on supporting business in securing orders and expanding markets. And we'll take 4 measures. First, we'll resume in-person exhibitions. Following the decision of the executive meeting of the State Council on January 28th, we will push for the resumption of in-person exhibitions in China, especially ensure the success of major exhibitions such as the CIIE, the Canton Fair, China High-Tech Fair, and other exhibitions. Second, we'll foster new types of foreign trade. We'll promote the healthy development of cross-border e-commerce and overseas warehousing. We'll also utilize digital means to unlock trade of foreign trade and encourage export by SMEs. Third, we'll unlock new potential and new demands in foreign trade. Our embassies, consulates, and commercial consulars' offices will play their role and provide assistance as localities conduct trade cooperation abroad. We'll also strengthen studies on international niche market to share the information on market dynamics across the world to help the business secure more orders. Fourth, we'll support business in going abroad. We will provide more facilitation to the cross-border business travel by foreign trade companies and support them in promoting China's products, China's manufacturing, and Chinese brands through various channels. And we also support the localities to expand overseas exhibitions where conditions allow. The last question.
Thank you. In 2022, BRI cooperation has already achieved much progress. How about this progress, and how will we promote their development in this year? I will answer this question. After the Belt and Road Initiative was proposed for 9 years, MOFCOM has conscientiously implemented the decisions and arrangements of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, continued to deepen BRI business cooperation, steadily expanded scope, improved cooperation, and promoted more diversified cooperation, promoted mutually beneficial and win-win cooperation with BRI partners, offering important support for the high-quality development of Belt and Road. In the past year, with the joint efforts of all, we have made new progress in BRI business cooperation, mainly in the following areas. First, faster growth of trade investment. In 2022, China's trade with BRI partners recorded a historical high. The value of trade in goods reached 13.8 trillion RMB, up 19.4%, 11.7 percentage points higher than the general growth. Our two-way investment with BRI partners scored new heights, covering multiple sectors. For example, our non-financial direct investment with BRI partners reached 141.05 billion RMB, while the countries along the route had a paid investment in China of 89.15 billion RMB, up 7.7% and 17.2% respectively, 0.5 and 10.9 percentage points higher than the general growth. Our project development was also effective and solid. In the past year, the value of newly signed contracts for project contractors in BRI countries reached RMB 871.85 billion RMB, accounting for the 51.2% of the total value of contracted projects. China Laos Railway, Budapest, Belgrade Railway, and other priority projects are making steady progress. Some small and beautiful projects, such as livelihood projects on agriculture, medical care, and poverty reduction, have been launched. Overseas economic and trade cooperation zones have been improving in quality by the end of 2022. Chinese companies have invested 397.9 billion RMB in cooperation zones developed by countries along the route and created more than 421,000 local jobs. The China-EU blockchain have offered more than 17,000 services throughout the year with an annual year-on-year growth of 9%. New International Land and Sea Corridor has started a 2-chapter as the cooperation plan between China and Singapore has been published and implemented. This high-quality implementation of the projects have effectively promoted economic and social development in the country they're in and offer substantial sense of gain for local people. Third, the area of cooperation has been continuously expanded. Throughout the year, we have signed 31 MOUs with relevant countries on green development, digital economy, and blue economy, with flourished development in new energy, energy conservation, environmental protection, and new infrastructure, offering more potential and broader space for BRI cooperation. Our circle of friends in Silk Road e-commerce has been constantly expanded, as our partner countries in bilateral e-commerce cooperation have been increased to 29. Online shopping festivals for quality African and BRICS products have become new highlights in our cooperation. Our mechanism and the platforms are more complete. We are actively leveraging the role of bilateral and multilateral business mechanism, deepen communication and alignment, and build new cooperation mechanisms, such as 12 working groups on unimpeded trade, working group on investment cooperation and trading services. Also, we have 9 programs of China-Africa cooperation, the joint demonstration zones for innovative development with ASEAN. They are all enjoying steady progress. China-ASEAN Expo, China-Euro-Asia Expo, China-Central Asia Economic and Trade Cooperation Forum, and China and LLC Infrastructure Cooperation Forum have been held successfully. This year marks the 10th anniversary of BRI. MOFCOM will conscientiously implement the important guidance and instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping on BRI cooperation. We will continue to promote unimpeded trade, innovate investment and cooperation, improve quality and efficiency, and make new contribution to the high-quality development of BRI development. Thank you all. This concludes our press conference today.